Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing.
He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation, everybody, welcome to the show. It's Thursday. We got a fun show today. So, look, we got a lot of great segments. We're gonna have some fun. We're of course gonna talk about disaster. We have also Pillow Talk. You're gonna enjoy that. I'm loving all these new Pillow Talk segments. These are fantastic. Just lots and lots of fun drama. Talk about on that. We also have I would think, a pretty significant threat from Donald Trump, former president, of course. I'll show you that interview. We also have Democrats fighting back, calling out Republicans. What is going on here? have we gotten into the dark Democrats phase? I don't know. Should be interesting to find out where they go from this. And then, by the way, one story, we're going to have fun with that as well. Apparently, according to Matt Walsh, mermaids can't be black because science. Well, I mean, there it is. It's science. Science. Interesting. All right. So anyway, we'll start out with the Trump story, of course. And yeah, before we do, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps us out, of course, as always. Thank you for that. Thank you for the super chats and things, that go to help us as well. Subs, etc. With that said, why don't we jump in? Hey, we got insanity in the control room. Former President Donald Trump recently warned the country will be facing big problems if the Department of Justice attempts to hold him accountable for illegally keeping classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. In fact, here he is on the Hugh Hewitt show saying just that.
If there is such a prosecutor and they indict you, would that deter you from running for president again?
I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it. And as you know, if a thing like that happened, I would have no prohibition against running. You know that. I think if it happened, I think you'd have problems in this country, the likes of which perhaps we've never seen before. I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it.
What kind of problems, Mr. President?
I think they'd have big problems. Big problems. I just don't think they'd stand for it.
Big problems. We'll have big problems. Big problems. What kind of problems? Well, again, he dodged that question. He has no answer to that question. And look, I think that maybe he was vague for a reason. Again, there will be problems. Now, you could be charitable and say that, well, he means like a big problems, and he'll bring his legal team and he'll fight the any indictments and okay, of course we would expect that. He has a right to defend himself, of course. And look, not only that, but maybe he means big problems with protest, right? Okay, saying that people won't stand for it. Okay, fine. In a political way, if his fans protest, as long as it stays peaceful, 100% fine. Totally fine. Or, by the way, they could also vote for him anyway. That was actually originally Hewitt's question. Hey, if you get indicted, you're going to run for president. And he's like, well, there's nothing stopping me. Well, technically that's true. Yes, you can actually run for office, or at least for president, while under indictment. Strange system that we have, but there it is. Okay. And yes, his fans will likely vote for him. Okay. Hey, that's up to you. But look, the thing is, it's really tough to be charitable when you look at Trump's history, especially when you look at things like January 6th, where there were big problems. Big problems in this country, the likes of which we had never seen before. I mean, again, he, during January 6th, he sat on his ass, he watched TV as the Capitol building was basically being taken over by a mob. The same mob that he egged on with tweets against his own vice president for not trying to steal the election for him, to, reject the certification. They chanted, need I remind you, hang Mike Pence. And what was Trump's reaction? And, well, I mean, it sounds like they deserved it. Now, this is according to testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson about what had happened on that day, and she recalled a conversation between Mark Meadows and Pat Scipione, saying, "Mark, we need to do something more. They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung." And which Mark had responded, according to testimony, something to the effect of, "You heard him, Pat. He thinks Mike deserves it. He doesn't think they're doing anything wrong. Meaning, of course, the rioters that did break into the Capitol, fought with police officers, smashed windows, smeared literal feces on the walls. Yeah. And so, look, when you talk about the context here, and when you look at how Trump had responded to Lindsey Graham saying, if Trump is indicted or prosecuted, there will be riots in the streets. I mean, look, he endorsed that. I think the meaning here is pretty clear. That said, why don't we go to Hugh Hewitt, who immediately goes to play some preemptive defense on the part of Trump.
You know that the legacy media will say you're attempting to incite violence with that statement. How do you respond to what will inevitably...
That's not inciting. I'm just saying what my opinion is. I don't think the people of this country would stand for it.
I mean, look, you know, that legacy media, right? Saying those things that happen to be true. Look, here's the thing. What I'm talking about for this situation is known as stochastic terrorism, which is defined as using mass public communication against a particular individual or group, or in this case, the government, which incites or inspires acts of terrorism which are statistically probable but happen seemingly at random. In this case, we had Trump saying that there's going to be trouble for the government, anyone involved, or the FBI, for example, law enforcement, if I happen to be indicted. I think you'd have problems in this country, the likes of which perhaps we've never seen before. But we have seen some of this before. You had somebody try to attack the Cleveland field office of the FBI and was killed in a shootout with officers, with agents. You had another man in Pennsylvania who had been arrested on charges of making threats of violence against personnel. Let me give you that. This 46-year-old Adam Baez had posted violent threats towards the FBI and law enforcement, stating, this was early in August, quote, "My only goal is to kill more of them before I drop. And if you work for the FBI, then you deserve to die." These are quotes that he had put. He was on, this person happened to have been on Gab, which is the infamous neo-Nazi platform. So he also allegedly wrote, "Every single piece of expletive who works for the FBI in any capacity, from the director down to the janitor who cleans their expletive toilets, deserves to die. You've declared war on us, and now it's open season on you." Let me just stop there and note that the FBI never wanted to search Mar-a-Lago. Christopher Wray is a Trump appointee. You think he wanted to do that? No, that's why they're like, please just send the stuff back. We know you've got documents. They don't belong to you. Just send it back. Just send it back, please. We can avoid any sort of drama. Just send it back. Just send it back. And he wouldn't. He refused because he thought that they were his, that he was entitled to these documents, to America's secrets. And so they had no choice but to go and search the property and recover all of these classified documents. That included nuclear documents of an unidentified country. That's not stuff that he's supposed to have. And by the way, you can't just like declassify it by saying, "I hereby now declassify all these documents right now." No, that's not how it works. You do have to go through a process. Even as president of the United States, you do have to go through the process through checking with other relevant agencies, to make sure that the documents that you're declassifying do not hurt national security. But again, all of this, these threats against law enforcement, all of this happened because Donald Trump had turned on law enforcement, turned specifically on the FBI, which again, I am not someone who was pro FBI. I have no love for the agency because in the past they have went after the left They've been used as a tool to go after the left. And yet, by the way, you want to talk about political right? Well, there's a long history of going after, again, the left wing. But God forbid they actually go after somebody who's a member of the right wing. Well, now that's when the right wing turns on them. And let me give you another post here from Baez on August 10th, where he allegedly wrote, "Hey, feds, we the people cannot wait to water the trees of liberty with your blood. I'll be waiting for you to kick down my door." And of course they did. So look, understand that this is not a joke. We're not kidding when we say that, hey, there's a pretty significant danger here, where you have a former president of the United States who continues to stoke hatred and violence through his words. I think the guy knows that some of his people, some of his followers, a good percentage of them, are prone to violence. And his response is, okay, if they do it and it helps me, great. As long as it helps him and his aims of escaping prosecution and holding onto political power, I don't think he'd have any issues with, sitting back and letting violence unfold against law enforcement, Democrats, or anybody who might actually attempt to hold them accountable. And that's why I do see these statements as a threat. Okay. Let's move on here. Oh, yeah, the Grumpy Cat. You recently had a Trump supporter in a clown wig at a Dairy Queen threatening to kill all the Democrats, but I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Oh, no, it's just legacy media, saying that story. But if you ask Hugh Hewitt, total clown. Trump knows what he's saying, says Cindy D. All right, moving on. Let's go to Mike Pillow.
God gave me this platform. I already know I'm going to win.
China did our vote. Biden and Harris would say, hey, we're here to protect the country, and resign.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Just forget about the evidence. This was attacked.
Following the search warrant and seizure of his phone, MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, he's had enough. He has had enough, and he is about to take the fight to the government.
We are suing, as you're hearing it here first, everybody, we're suing the United States government and the FBI. And this isn't just to get the phone back. This is my First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights were broken in the constitutional right. And this needs to go everywhere. We're not going to put up with this. We're not going to be the Gestapo like in Nazi Germany. Steve, this is, we're being proactive. I was on the phone with these attorneys. I said, no, I want to sue. What can we do? We got all the lawyers on the phone. They looked up all these statutes. We're going to go to places where no man has gone before. This will set a precedent. This has to stop. Nobody gets to bash people's door down and you get 40 seconds to answer your door. Nobody gets to corner and take a phone away of a private citizen, their company phone, so and their hearing aids, everything else. Everything I had was in that phone of all these businesses, My Pillow, My Store, Frank's Speech, passwords to be able to do money wires that I can't do right now. Those aren't in any cloud. I mean, this has got to stop, Steve, and we're going to do it.
It's got to stop, Steve. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it by going where no one has gone before. What? When did this When did this turn into an episode of Star Trek? And why is the captain Mike Lindell? This the USS My Pillow, apparently. What? Okay, look, this is absolutely fantastic. From him calling, this the Gestapo. Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi's Gazpacho police.
Well, at least he didn't call them the Gazpacho police, but still, wow. So, okay, let me start by saying, cry more. Please, Mike, continue to cry. Oh, they took my phone. They took my phone. Yeah, they had a warrant. That's what they do. A warrant is signed off by a judge, which means they needed probable cause to get a judge to sign off on the warrant. Now, that probable cause, well, it's related to having evidence related to tampering of voting machines, which happens to be a crime. Hey, you know what? I thought that this is what you wanted. I mean, you wanted the government to see evidence of tampering with the voting machines, right? Well, apparently they might have it now, assuming it's on your phone. But wait, oh, that's right. It's because he doesn't like it because it's a Trump supporter who was allegedly tampering with these voting machines. And then, by the way, she then absconded, ran away from law enforcement. And then when she was caught, she was basically had to get dragged away kicking and screaming. Suddenly, it's really different when someone actually messes with the machines, as opposed to, of course, your completely made up nonsense accusations that, the what is it, Venezuelan thermostats, the ghost of Hugo Chavez, the Iranians, the Italian satellites, Pomeranian, whatever, right? I mean, it's all ridiculous, but please continue crying and showing the world how much of an idiot you are. How sad. And by the way, who does their business without at least having a laptop? Honestly. Isn't he supposed to be rich? Isn't he supposed to have money? How could anybody run an entire business off their smartphone? That doesn't seem very smart. That makes absolutely no sense. And speaking of not making sense, let's get to the supposed constitutional violations, right? So you said, first, fourth, and fifth, right? Okay, free speech. Mike Lindell, have you been silenced by the government? Has the government silenced you? Now I know you went on your show yesterday and you said, they gave this warrant. Here's the search warrant. Here's that. And they told me not to say anything. Yeah, that was a suggestion so that you maybe don't incriminate yourself or harm an ongoing investigation. But hey, it wasn't an order. It was a suggestion, and you're not getting arrested for it. Okay, so you're also been going on every single different, right-wing show, including your own show, and talking incessantly about this. So obviously you hadn't been silenced by the government. So where did your First Amendment rights get violated, Mike? Okay, what about the fourth? Illegal search and seizure, right? Well, again, going back to the fact that they had a warrant to take your phone. Same thing with due process. Were you denied your due process rights when they, again, had a warrant signed off from a judge from probable cause to search your phone? I don't see any violations of due process. Look, the search warrant, by the way, given to Lindell, shows exactly an item-by-item list, line by line, of what they were looking for, which included records and information relating to damage to any Dominion computerized voting system, including any impairment to or attempt to impair the integrity or availability of data, a program, system, or information. They also sought all records and information related to any attempted successful misappropriation, theft, conversion, transfer, or exfiltration of any proprietary hardware, software, or other data. Among many other things, by the way. So now, Mike Pillow, what has he been talking about the past couple of years? Oh, it's the voting machines. The voting machines are rigged, they're bad. We got to get our hands on a voting machine. We're going to expose how the voting machines were rigged. Well, that would mean, of course, getting your hands on a voting machine. Now, he's held several different symposiums where he claimed to have evidence, right? Claimed to have evidence from these machines to prove that they're rigged, right? Well, where would he get such evidence? Well, look, mostly he's been making it up, but it is a possibility that Tina Peters had been trying to supply him with said code and information. I don't know if she successfully was able to get that to him, but I don't know. But again, he wanted to use those machines to get into those machines, get a copy of the software to prove his wacky conspiracy theories about Biden stealing the election. And so if he had actually helped or received any information that was stolen by Peters, again, who was alleged to have allowed unauthorized breaches of our county's election system, which is a crime, and then shared that information online, well, I mean, again, you don't think Mike Pillow would be interested in that? And if he had helped facilitate that, well, that would be a big problem. That would be criminal. Now, I don't know if he was personally involved in that crime, but that's why they took his phone. If he was involved, well, then yes, there would be important evidence on that phone. But for Mikey, remember, Mikey says, forget about the evidence. I don't really care about that. No. What I'm just going to do is I'm going to play victim, and I'm going to try to sue the government and the FBI, which, let's be honest, he's probably not going to actually sue them. But he's going to cry about how, poor me, it's the Gestapo, they're after me, blah, 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 poor me. But in reality, this might be just a good case of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Well, congratulations, Mike. You just got your prize. Well done. Well done. All right. Mike Pillow shares a common assumption among Republicans. It's not supposed to be a crime when Republicans do it. True. All right. Let's go to Joni Ernst. Republican Senator Joni Ernst is a little upset because unemployment is too low.
Help wanted. I see the signs in nearly every county I visit in Iowa on my 99 county tour. Small businesses and public services are struggling to maintain the workforce that is vital to our communities. The Des Moines Public School District, for example, has over 100 vacancies and is providing $50,000 incentives for retiring teachers, nurses, and administrators to stay in school. Faced with a declining number of soldiers, the Iowa National Guard is offering signing bonuses to new recruits, along with other incentives to encourage current members to re-enlist. Police departments across the state are also facing recruitment challenges, so the Iowa State Patrol is raising salaries and starting outreach efforts with kids as young as the 6th grade to get them to start thinking about careers in law enforcement. And this need for essential workers, well, it isn't limited to just Iowa. America is facing a shortage of teachers, doctors, nurses, child care providers, construction workers, truck drivers, pilots, and even accountants.
All right, so, oh, interesting. Oh, well, we have a shortage of all these jobs. Okay, well, do these jobs pay well? Well, let's talk about teachers for a second, right? Now, look, do teachers get paid very well? No. In fact, teachers are paid incredibly poorly. And so, gee, I wonder why there's a shortage of that. Oh, Oh, what about truck drivers, right? Turns out their working conditions are pretty terrible. Not a lot of people want to do that. Weird. And so look at that. Here we have a shortage of a lot of these jobs, and yet you also have pretty low unemployment. And she is yet pretty mad because, oh my God, can you believe it? It's gotten so bad for the corporations out there that they have to actually give people incentives and better pay. Oh, to come in and work. Oh my God. And what's the problem? I mean, look, for the workers, this is fantastic. I mean, yes, wages. When there's more competition, yes, wages will go up. That's great. It means the companies, you have to court the workers with more generous pay and benefits and things like hybrid work, remote work, and places where it makes sense. Wonderful. But understand that for people like Joni Ernst, who work for their corporate overlords, they hate this. They despise it. I mean, they see this as one of the worst things that could ever happen. Oh, low unemployment. Oh my God. But see, understand in capitalism, you have to have a large pool of unemployed people. You can never have full employment under capitalism because then, well, they do the things that they're doing right now. When you have low unemployment, companies have to fight each other to attract workers. That is a win for workers. And look, workers have choice and the companies have to do these incentives. But when regular people have to fight each other, when you have high unemployment, that's when the corporations win, because then they don't have to offer any incentives. They can just say, well, hey, look, we're pretty much the only game in town and there's a lot of job seekers. You're just going to have to take those low wages and no benefits. You're going to take this crappy job. So you got it. What do you want to be poor? So look, she's mad that the labor market for once is favorable to workers. If you're a working class person, understand that Joni Ernst is literally rooting against you. She doesn't want you to get higher pay. She doesn't want you to have good benefits. She doesn't want employers having to court you. No, she wants it the other way around. And by the way, she's not the only one. You also have members of the administration, Fed Chair Jerome Powell. So he's chair of Federal Reserve, and you might have noticed that interest rates have been rising. So now the reason that he keeps hiking these interest rates is to, quote unquote, cool the economy, right? It's too hot. The economy's too hot. It's too good. There's too many jobs. There's too many jobs, and there's not high enough unemployment. Employment's too high. We have too many people working. Oh no! And again, too much competition to attract those workers, which means that the Fed is rooting for the unemployment rate to go up. They actively want more pain for you. They want more people to lose their jobs. And by the way, let me give you a quote here. This is from billionaire David Rubenstein, who is the investor and co-founder of the Carlyle Group, talking to CNN. He said this, quote, Powell can't quite say this, but if the unemployment rate goes up to 4 or 5% or 6%, inflation will probably be tamed a bit, but he can't come out and say it. I hope the unemployment rate goes to 6%. That doesn't sound politically very attractive to say that. Gee, I wonder why. Is it because millions of people would lose their jobs and workers would lose whatever semblance of power they have? Yeah. No, but again, here's the thing. They use the whole narrative of inflation. It's like, what are you going to do? We get too much inflation, and it's all your fault, by the way, because we gave you a stimulus check. You know, that $1,400 stimmy check. That's why the economy's just too hot. You know, it's all your fault. Yeah, if we just hadn't given you that stimulus check, then everything would be fine. The economy would be full steam. Would be great. Are you sure it's because of the stimulus check, or maybe it's the, I don't know, corporate handouts in the tunes of billions of dollars, or the banks who got trillions of dollars in liquidity from, oh, you guessed it, the Federal Reserve. But no, they're basically saying, no, you got too much. Your check, your unemployment benefits. Now it's your fault. See what you did. Now we're going to have to raise interest rates on you. And now, corporations, which by the way, there's really no reason for corporations to have done this inflation. It's not as if you had, the price of goods and services at their point where the corporations will come in and either manufacture it or resell it. They haven't had that big of a price increase. That said, I'm not saying there wasn't any price increase. Of course there was, or I should say the increase in the costs of being able to do business as a result of, for example, supply chain issues, because that is a real issue. And that did affect the price a little bit on their end. But what they did is that they took that and then expanded it sometimes by 50%, added about 50% to what they were charging for these products, which is nothing more than price gouging. And that's what they're doing, price gouging using the guise of inflation. And then, of course, the government says, or not the government, sorry, but the Federal Reserve says, oh, look at the inflation. I guess we're going to have to cut interest rates. Or I'm sorry, we're going to have to raise interest rates because they were too low for too long. And now the economy's too hot. Too many people working. So, gee, why is it that working people always, why is it they're always told that they're the ones that have to bear the pain of the markets? Of what the banks did, what giant corporations have done, and through, government policy. In the case of, again, not raising wages and giving tons and tons of billions and billions of dollars to the rich. Why is it that poor people, middle-class people have to pay for that? Have to suffer for that? Why is it never the corporate CEOs who see their incomes explode during the pandemic? You have companies that got richer, CEOs that got much, much richer because they got billions of dollars in corporate handouts, like the paycheck protection loans, which, by the way, a lot of them got that money, used it to buy back their own stock, and then got it forgiven. And these same people that bitch about, student loan forgiveness. And by the way, these same corporate CEOs also gave themselves fat bonuses while laying off workers. You know how they do that? It's because they buy people off like Joni Ernst, who then come out with their stupid little sign, as if nobody knows what a help wanted sign looks like. By the way, I don't even see that going on very much. I mean, sure, you might see a help wanted sign in the window, but generally, you're going to see job postings on the internet, online. But they'll come out there with their little prop and say, oh, there's just not it's just unemployment. I mean, the people are just not willing to work at these companies. There's just not enough workers. That's a real problem. No, people are willing to work. And they are working. Again, that's why unemployment is so low at this point. But the ones who are not, remember, they're refusing to accept garbage wages and poor working conditions. If you're a company that's having a really hard time hiring right now, you might want to look at, I don't know, how much you're paying people. Make an adjustment there. But look, labor, what's going on is labor is finally starting to stand up, finally able to assert itself. We've seen union victories all over the country. You're seeing Starbucks, you're seeing the Amazon warehouses fighting. You're seeing the Ohio teachers that have also been able to fight for wages. You're finally seeing them stand up. And the response to that from our political and economic system is to try to crush them back to the ground. Get back on your knees, working class. Did you forget who runs this place? And we're going to make sure you feel the pain. And we're going to use the people that we bought, like Joni Ernst, to deliver that pain. All right. Let's move on. Go to Jamie Raskin. Let me adjust that a little bit. You know what we do.
We'll do it live!
All right. Senator Lindsey Graham recently unveiled his national abortion ban. So now he introduced this ban that would ban abortion in the United States after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Now, it's kind of strange because Republicans had promised that they were not going to do or to seek a federal abortion ban, and yet here's Lindsey Graham doing just that, which led to Representative Jamie Raskin to call out Republicans and their shifting narrative on this very issue. Here's part of that speech.
Now, originally, they said, well, Roe versus Wade is settled precedent. We accept that. Then they packed the court with their justices who were determined, hell-bent on overturning Roe versus Wade, and they did it. Then we heard from our friends across the aisle, well, this is a matter for the states. Let the states decide. And now we hear from our colleagues in Congress, no, they want a national criminal ban on the right of women to make their own decisions about their health, their families, their careers, and their futures. And then they will even allow states to go beyond that to completely ban abortion, which is, of course, the essential pro-life position, which we've heard from our colleagues across the aisle.
All right, so, oh, that's interesting. Their pro-life position all across the aisle, and yet now Lindsey Graham says, well, we're going to do an abortion ban. But before they said, oh, well, we're just going to leave it up to the states. They seem to be missing, or I should say moving the goalposts around quite a bit. They don't seem to know exactly what they're doing. Oh, interesting. So now Raskin did also mention later on in a different part of the speech where some Republicans are kind of shying away from Graham's legislation and the abortion issue. Gee, I wonder why. He said this, quote, I thought we were going to be distracted with Republican calls to ban abortion across the country. Well, the polls must be teaching them something because I'm not hearing about abortion today. So he also went on to say that polls show a majority of Americans are on the side of freedom and the rights of women and men and families to make their own decisions and not to have those decisions made by Lindsey Graham. So, okay. Now, I love this for a couple of reasons. For one, hey, look at Democrats being strong. Wow. Calling out Republicans, calling out their duplicity on this issue, talking about how, oh, it turns out that if they can shift this position, even after saying, oh, I'm going to ban abortion, it could have been abortion, it could have been abortion. And then some of them saying, oh, no, never mind. Yeah, that looks really bad in the polls. Not a popular position. That's really interesting to point that out. And I think it's really good because this is an issue that is, again, very important to a lot of people, reproductive freedom. And women have decided, and not just women, but of course, you have, trans men, as well as non-binary folks who, have uteruses, who are affected by this, that are coming out and saying, I'm not at all interested in Republicans making these decisions for me, much less, in my state, much less having a national abortion ban. The whole thing is ridiculous. But look, here's the thing. We know the Republican position has been ban abortion. They spent decades trying to do it. And when Roe was overturned, they cheered loudly for it. They got exactly what they wanted. And they said, we're going to ban abortion. And then they found out that they made a huge mistake. At least when it came to politically. Because they ended up losing some primaries, as well as even a ballot measure in Kansas. Kansas is not a liberal bastion, but here you had women saying, no, we don't accept this. We want to make our own decisions here. We don't want you to completely ban abortion. And then after that, you had a lot of Republicans saying, oh, did I say we were going to ban abortion? Oh, I meant we were not going to ban abortion. For example, Scott Jensen, he put out an ad saying, I'm not going to overturn reproductive rights in our state. No, that's settled. The governor can't do that anyways. What are you talking about? That's settled issue. It's president. Now, he happened to come out with that position after he had lost 18 points in the polls. There's more. You also had in Arizona Senate candidate Blake Masters, who scrubbed his website. Scrub-dub-dub, gonna get rid of all that stuff. By the way, his abortion stance was supporting a federal personhood amendment. You know, the thing that would declare fertilized eggs to be human beings, to full, complete human beings with all constitutional rights from the moment of conception. Even Mississippi voters said, yeah, that's a little too extreme for us. Pull it back. But that was Blake Masters, had that on his website until, turns out, this issue was very unpopular with voters. Scrub a dub, gotta get rid of it. And in Washington, Republican Senate hopeful Tiffany Smiley has tried to, in her words, walk a fine line in supporting the total abortion ban in Texas, but promising that, I think it should be left up to the states. So then what's Lindsey Graham doing? Lindsey Graham is out there saying, no, I'm going to listen to the extremists in the party that are still pushing for us to do a federal abortion ban. I'm just going to put it up. So that's causing huge divisions within the Republican Party. For example, you have Senator Shelley Moore Capito, who's a Republican from West Virginia, saying, I don't think there's an appetite for a national platform here, for Lindsey Graham's bill. I'm not sure what he's thinking here, but I don't think there will be a rallying around that concept. You also had Mitch McConnell coming out and saying, no, we're not going to do that. So, Now, again, the reason, of course, is that all this is, these abortion bans are just incredibly unpopular with the voters. Turns out Americans like freedom. Yeah, who knew? Oh, right. Everybody. Or at least everyone should know. Now, the other thing is, Raskin does a great job in pointing out how because, that they're running from, a lot of them are running from their own so-called pro-life position. Turns out that it never really was about life. It's always been about controlling women's bodies. Of course. This has always been a culture war issue. Again, this has been, the abortion issue, for example, and I forget if it was the original Falwell. No, I believe it was Franklin Graham, though I'm not entirely sure. Those, moral majority guys. It wasn't until a couple of years after the Roe decision where Republicans, the right wing, finally decided, turns out, it's life after all. Look at that, it's life. And we need to be anti-abortion. No, the reason that they originally glommed onto that as a party and putting that into their platform is because their message before was tax cuts for the rich and corporate deregulation. That didn't sell well with the average person. But you know what did? Pro-life. Oh, no, we're totally pro-life, except that none of our policies are actually pro-life at all. I mean, we're not pro-healthcare. We're really not pro, food for everybody, housing for everybody. No, we're not pro-life in any of that regard. And the things that people actually require to live, not pro any of that. We're just pro-fetus. And that's what it really is. It's pro-fetus, pro-birth, pro-forced birth. That's their platform. And again, the reason that they did that is just in order to allow them to facilitate their robbery of the middle class. That's who the Republicans are. And I love how, again, Raskin is making a good case against Republicans and really showing how their beliefs were never really consistent. Okay. We got one more story here. Daily Wire host Matt Walsh has a few thoughts about the recent casting of a black woman to play the character of Ariel in Disney's newest live-action remake.
With The Little Mermaid, can we also just mention that just from a scientific perspective, okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have someone with darker skin who lives deep in the ocean. I mean, if anything, not only should the Little Mermaid be pale, she should actually be translucent. If you look at deep sea creatures, they're like translucent. They have no kind of pigmentation whatsoever. And they're just like these horrifying, they look like skeletons floating around in the ocean. That's what the Little Mermaid should look like. She should be totally pale and skeletal, where you can see her skull through her face. And that would actually be a version of Little Mermaid that I would watch.
Okay, so look, anybody who uses the phrase from a scientific perspective in order to discuss the casting of a minority to play a fucking fictional character, okay, and how they hate it and how it's a bad idea, I think should have their political opinions completely discarded. Seriously. Not only that, but maybe those same people should be rounded up and shot into the sun. I'm kidding, or maybe I'm not, because this is annoying. I'm tired of the discourse. I'm tired of the discourse where, oh, such and such character can't be black. There are no black elves in Middle Earth. Hey, you know what? It's fiction. It's not real. It doesn't exist. So, you know what? There can be black elves. There can be yellow elves. There can be red elves. Okay? There can be elves of any color. There can be rainbow-colored elves. It doesn't matter. It's fiction. It's not real. So stop complaining about it. It's so stupid. Oh, you know, Ariel, she can't be black because she's in the ocean. She's a mermaid. Mermaids aren't real. Who cares what color her skin is? And by the way, I absolutely love his suggestion, right? To enhance the so-called realism. She should be translucent with a skull face. Yes, because that will go over really well with children. This is a children's film. This isn't made for you, Matt Walsh. It's not made for you. It's made for little kids. Think of the nightmares you're going to give to little kids for having translucent Ariel with skull face. But look, for Matt Walsh and a lot of these idiots, these chuds, having a black woman character be the main character in a film, that's their nightmare. Honestly, like he, wakes up in a cold sweat going, oh my God, oh no, black characters not being typecast and portrayed as drug dealers, gang members, prisoners. Oh God, I'm so scared. The horror. Movies reflecting reality. Can't have it. Can't have it. Movies being diverse. Can't have it. No. Now, the other funny thing about this, and there's a lot of funny things about this, is his attempt at using a scientific perspective on pretty much anything. Matt Walsh, you are not a scientist. You don't even believe in science. So, look, I don't know why you're giving that perspective, or even attempting to do that perspective. It doesn't make any sense. But look, getting back to the translucent thing, because I'm stuck on that. All right. Hey, you know what? It turns out there are actually plenty of sea animals with dark pigmentation. I know. There are sure places where it is so deep and dark, the ocean, where there's literally no light at all. Okay, that's where you have animals that are translucent, bioluminescent, etc. Now, of course, I'm sure that I've already enraged and confused Matt Walsh because I've used the word trans. And so obviously, but stay with me here, okay? Turns out the ocean is incredibly diverse. It's a huge, diverse biosphere with many different environments in it with different plants and animals. Again, I probably already lost Matt Walsh when I said the word diverse because he's triggered, right? But it's true. And you know what? Thanks to actual scientists, we actually get to explore that. And that is amazing. And it's absolutely wonderful. But here's the thing. People like Walsh, Matt Walsh, Jeremy Quartering, Geeks and Gamers, and all the other reactionary chuds, all they're doing is they're cashing in on an industry, a cottage industry of hate. You have incels and angry chuds that all they want to do is hate on black people and women. And that's really it. They monetize racism and misogyny while cloaking in the guise of like, oh, but woke, it's wokeism. It's and bad writing. That's what it is. It's bad writing. Disney bad. Okay, you know what? I agree. Disney is bad. Their working conditions and their pay have been notoriously awful, and they've become a huge problem when it comes to monopolizing different IPs, and just creating a huge corporate empire, right? And look, do they also sometimes churn out cookie cutter corporate approved content in order to make money? Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And so that's a valid critique. When you see, some of this, corporate board approved, whatever, stories or remakes or recycles and things like that, where there's no original ideas, all right, that's a fair criticism, okay? And by the way, do these companies sometimes use the appearance of being inclusive to try to make money? Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. They're corporations. Their number one duty is to make money. It's a fiduciary responsibility to maximize profit. And so will they go to things that are popular? Yes. What's popular? Inclusion. You know why inclusion is popular? Because it's a good thing. And people genuinely like it. People genuinely like it when, I don't know, characters that are represented represent them, look like them. I mean, look, I heard a story where a little black girl, saw, and heard the trailer, and they said, "Mom, that looks like me." That's generally a good thing. That's the target audience right there. But look, even if you're doing it for money, generally representation happens to be a good thing. So look, that said, the vast majority of critiques that are negative to these movies don't have anything to do with writing, originality, or even Disney's bad business practices. It's all because generally black people are in my movies and I don't like it, makes me uncomfortable. Women are in my video games and I don't like it and it makes me uncomfortable. 95% or 90 to 95% of the hatred that not just this, but a lot of these different series have gotten is a result of just those couple of things. You don't like it, sad, but it is what it is. All right. That's all the stories I got. They made Black Panther and the audience showed up for it. Yeah. It's called appealing to the market and demographics. It's not rocket science, nor is it a global conspiracy. Yeah, it's not whatever wokeism, shoving wokeism down our throats. The woke agenda. I don't even know what that is. The whole thing is just absolutely ridiculous. All right. There's no fiduciary duty to make profit. They completely made that one up. So, are you saying that corporations, the shareholders, don't want to make profit? Because that's what the shareholders want. The shareholders want to make money, and so they're going to do whatever they want or whatever they can do to squeeze as much profit out, because the board and the shareholders, they decide who the CEO is. And if the CEO is not making enough money for the company, for the shareholders and executives, then the CEO gets booted. That's how it works in publicly traded companies. Why don't I have a Discord server? Because it's too much work. That's what it is. I'll be honest about that. I haven't set one up because it's a lot of work, and I would have to have people that would, come in and be moderators on that, so it doesn't turn into a garbage hole filled with trolls. And I just haven't had the time to do that. Comic book Nick Fury was a white guy. Nobody complained at Samuel Jackson's casting. Well, there you go. I think he did a pretty good job on that, too. All right. So, look. Let me read some super chats because I know I have some. Before I do, though, I just want to thank Buck Danzig for the sub on Prime, and Cerberus Alpha Gaming for resubbing for a month of Tier 1. Appreciate that. Let's see. Now let's go to other super chats here. Missed a few days. What happened to my studio background? I moved rooms. I switched rooms. I am now in a different part, which I will work on putting some sort of decoration up there, so I'm not broadcasting from a manila envelope. So it's a work in progress, everybody. Hazel Flat says he should never go to the London Carnival. He'd be mortified with way too many fairies, mermaids, etc. that are way too dark for him. Spin Me a Sailcloth also asks, aren't there dark elves? There are. Yes. There are dark elves. That's a very good observation. And Gabby Mathis, thank you very kindly for the $5. Appreciate that. All right. He moved to the east wing of the mansion. Oh, so, whatever. Whatever, you guys. Yeah, wish. Honestly, that would be kind of awesome. No. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you all. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do so. To everybody on Twitch, we're going to do a raid here. Actually, this is into reactions. So, hosted by a good friend, Ravana. So, check that out. It's a great, fun show. I'm sure she's going to have a lot of fantastic, fun content for you all. But for everybody else, thank you. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We will see you all tomorrow.
I will eat your ass.
Technically. That's like my knee. Tighten up my knee.
Sexual anarchy.
No.
Peachtree dish.
Oh yeah.
Obama.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
We will keep kicking your ass every single day.